Hi guys, my name is Melissa Solis and I'm going to present my service learning project that I've been working on, and I'm pretty excited about a lot of the information that I found out. So basically my initial start of this and idea was to find out how we can help our community with guiding them, better than what we were doing now. And so I started a job working for Hidalgo Medical Services, and it's a federally funded facility. And basically, we see patients, patients who are wealthy, patients who have insurance, and patients who don't, patients who are supported by the government. And so basically, we provide the same care to everybody, no matter what happens when they walk in. And so one of the things that really inspired me is that when I started there and I was doing my training, we were all engaged in making sure that every patient that walked in the door had the best quality of care possible. And so by that, we were making sure that their mammograms, their colorectal cancer screening assessments, all of those proactive procedures that are covered through HMS were all being, given out to our patients, and we were keeping track of them and when they were having them done. And so we had a patient come in and I called her back. I had her step on the scale for me. She kept telling me that she was really cold and she had like 5 jackets on. And I was like telling her, well, we're going to take some of those jackets off because we need to get your weight. And I want to make sure that it's your proper weight. Well, even with taking off 3 of the jackets, she pretty much was weighing 76 pounds. And so I honestly didn't think that much of it because I'm more focused on making sure that I'm doing everything properly. And so I put this patient back in the room, and she has a rash on her hand, and it's been itching her and it's really flared up, and that's what she's there for that day. So I go and I talk to my provider and I said, I have so-and-so in the room. She's coming in mostly for the rash, but she hasn't had her pap smear, she hasn't had her mammogram, she hasn't had any of her screenings for cancer. She's just not up to date on anything. No immunizations, no flu shot, just on and on. And the provider was just like, I'm actually gonna just see her for her rash today. And so to me, I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna call the shots, right? So it just left me kind of thinking like, everybody else was getting their quality of care and making sure that they were getting their screenings right. And so it wasn't that he meant anything bad about it. I think he was just kind of focusing on how he could help her that day. And so when I went, he came back out and he was like, well, I want you to hand her this resource book that we have here. He goes, and just give her the book. And well, it was just kind of like a flyer. And he goes, give her the flyer. She's actually homeless. She lives out of her car. So maybe some of these services can help her. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go and do that. So with walking in, knowing that she was homeless and knowing that I didn't really want to bring it up and like embarrass her, it was challenging. And so just learning and knowing how to approach that. So I walked in, I gave her the flyer and I said, these are all the resources. There's, some amazing people that will help you. You just need to, if you need help with anything, you can always contact our family support. I said, but basically you're just going to be, going through these resources that we have. And so she left and I went back to document everything that I told her. And I was like, how do I know if she even has a phone? I mean, how do I even know if she has a computer or internet, right? And so it just kind of didn't sit well with me. I was upset for the rest of the day because I felt like I let her down. In a sense, I felt like I was giving false information that I didn't even know if these resources were legit, and telling her that somebody would help her on the other end and not really knowing if it was true. And so that was what inspired me to know what I'm giving the the client, to know the information, to make sure that that information and that resource is actively running and actively working, and there is somebody on the other side to help. And so that's where I'm going to get started with my service learning project. And so initially I was just like, hey, I'm going to get all these people and I'm going to create this group and we're going to be community guardians. So that was my thing. I said, we're all going to volunteer. We're going to get our resources together. And once we have this big like resource dictionary or whatever it takes to know that we're going to go out there and find these people that need help and show them where they can find it. And so I wanted to, the goals were to provide updated resources to people in the community, to connect with support, general advice, and engagement in the community and what was going on around it and how, you know, they could be helped by others and what was available. And so another thing with that community guardians was to create goals for each of these people that we were going to get in contact with, right? We were going to say, okay, what do you need the most? Is it housing? Is it food? Is it daycare? Is it social therapy? Is it anything you name it, a haircut, a nice hot meal, anything? We were going to have this checklist and go off of this checklist and say, this is how we want to help you. And these things that you're listing, we know how to get them for you. And we're going to help together. And not only that, we're going to follow up with you after this day. And after we have this conversation, I'm going to be accountable and I'm going to get back in contact with you. And I'm going to make sure that everything is going better and everything is trending in a positive way in your life. And so that was the main goal. And so the first step that I did was I started Googling, right? And I opened up Google and I said, okay, I want to find who has the best resources. And so the first step was to get a copy of those resources. And when I did, I ended up getting a copy of the resources and finding out that a lot of these resources had been outdated. And at the bottom of that page that I had was a number to a lady who had revised it in 2019. And so I said, right, if anybody's going to know, she's going to know if there's a better copy of this. And so I called her. She was amazing. She had retired. She gave me a number of another lady who was a resource specialist for another program. And so this is where I got this book. I called them actually that day and I said, I have this project that I'm working on. Is there any way that I can get the updated resources that you guys have? And they said, sure. How many booklets do you have? We have the books available. And I was like, I don't know. I guess like 30, maybe. Is 30 a lot? I didn't know. I thought that was way too much. And she's like, 30? Okay, we'll have it ready for you. You come in, we'll have them ready for you to pick up. And I said, great. Set up a time and a meeting to go meet them. And I went on my lunch break and they had this box. It was a big box labeled with my name on it. And I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. And so I was like, thank you guys. And I got it and it had probably about 150 books in it. And I was just like pretty amazed with that. And so I opened the book and I'm like, oh my goodness, where to begin? So the resource that this came from was from a program called Beginning Years. And so I got this book, Beginning Years, started going through it, right? And it has all of these pages that you can just flip through. And it starts from when, you know, when babies in the front, then kind of like middle. And then so what we found out on this one is that there's not a lot for elderly and there's not too much for people with disabilities. So with all of that chicken scratch on this PowerPoint that you see, I have names, I have programs. There was just so much information that I was just like jotting it all down every time I would get time and a lunch break and things like that. So I found out that the beginning has disability help for babies. So that was really cool, and a lot of information for babies with disabilities. And then in the back of it, it was just kind of like the workforce connections resources. And so with that, I ended up calling them, and they have a lot of resources for kids and teens, and we'll go through that as the PowerPoint moves on. But so some of the services that they provide are family support. Basically, they help you get a phone. They apply for that free federal phone. You get the phone or a tablet. And I heard that now it's tablets mostly, because the tablets they can use as a computer, and then they can also make phone calls on it. So that is pretty cool. And then how to just apply for basic benefits. And family support comes out of HMS, where the place where I work. And so you make an appointment, or you see this patient in need, and you tell them, okay, this is who you're going to go see, and what time is best for you, and they'll see you when it's best, the best time available for you. And so they help you apply for like the LIHEAP, insurance, Medicaid, car seat programs, social security, disability, and assistance. And then they have SPIN. And SPIN is the other program that provides the food, meals, transportation to doctor's appointments, shelter acceptance, and clothing. And then the other one was, there was support groups. That's the one I was talking about, the parents reaching out. It's babies with disabilities. CareLink, Bridges to Wellness. This one was really cool. The supportive, the community, it's a comprehensive community support services. And I went to go visit that building. It's called New Beginnings. It's right next door to where I live. And there was a resource specialist there. There was a rehab therapist there. They were all employees there. And I was like, can I come in here? And they're like, yeah, you work here. And I was like, no, technically I don't work in that, building, but they were like, you're welcome anytime. I went in and started just talking to them, getting so much knowledge. They did have a big Bible, but theirs was from of resources. It was from 2012. And so then the other one was the New Mexico Workforce Connection, and they have job placement, job training, tuition assistance. And then for people who have dropped out, people who have disabilities and have the IEP from ages 16 to 21, they help you. So that was really cool. And then how did it help? So basically, I was able to gain access to this book that had a lot of information in it. And I was able to make sure that it was updated. All the numbers that were on there, I called the majority of them that weren't associated with the hospital. It was obvious that that was the right number. But that was really cool. And so I went back to the original place that I started, and she had given me that sheet of paper with just that. And I said, look what I found. And she was amazed. She was like, no way, you found this. And so she was all happy. I told her, can I take a picture of you putting them out to, for display and stuff? And she's like, sure. So right there in their building, this is the Grant County Community Foundation. And this weekend in Silver City, they're going to have a Give Grandly, Give Local. And so that's how I originally found them. And when I called them, I said, hey, I'm calling about this Give Grandly, Give Local program. What is it? And she said, well, it's actually an event, and there's going to be a bunch of vendors, and every resource, that we could get a hold of is going to be there. The SPIN program, all of New Beginnings, beginning years, places who provide for people with disabilities. We're all going to be there, and people who are in need. And so I was like, wow, I said, so is this program gonna is this event gonna have people who are selling stuff, and then part of the profits go to these resources? And she was like, do you want a job? And I was like, really? She's all, I'm serious. She said, I just want you to know that mindset is just gold here. And I was like, wow. And I said, I was really thinking Give Grandly, Give Local. You're asking people to go over there, buy a pair of earrings from a local artist or whatever it is, an art piece. And part of the profits go to, these resources for, and she was like, they actually don't, but that's going to be an amazing project that we will start working on. I was happy about that. And so I get really offered the job. She was kind of just like, she liked the idea. And so, and it's a nonprofit organization. So she was just like really grateful that I brought that to their attention, because I was telling people at work, I said, would you go and buy like earrings or a piece of art, or like, yeah, it would be nice to have it, but where's the money? Like, part of the proceeds are going to these local, nonprofit organizations. And they're like, yes, I would definitely do that. So that's going to hopefully be in the works, and I offered to volunteer for that. So I'm excited. And then what further services? So there's a lot of things that we need in our communities. And so businesses should start helping out, and offering like free haircuts. They should be donating more clothing and more shoes, and donating more of their time. More resources on where to get the assistive technology that some people with disabilities are going to need. That would be great. And then more resources on where the elderly population could get, a lot of them with dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that. They need that movement in their body. They need cognitive therapy. They need social therapy. And so they have one right now for middle-aged people who have social disorders, and it's working amazing. They're able to get on the computer, they fill out applications, they make meals, they cook, they do projects, they create pieces, and some have the quiet space, some work in groups. And so that's what we need for the elderly too. It'd be great. So we can get their minds working and their spirits back alive. And so for scholarly source, I put this quote that's really cool. It says, service learning is not simply volunteer activity tied to a course, but an intentional pedagogy that ensures that both the service enhances the learning and the learning enhances the service. So basically, I knew I was going to mess up when I said that, but it's okay. But yeah, that's a really cool, thing to go by, is that basically it ensures that we get both the service enhancing of the learning, and then the learning actually enhances the service. So the next thing is the concepts that I applied are basically all of the factors that are included with eliminating health disparities in our communities. So social support, food and medical access, age and ability, gender, genetics, education, employment, housing, language, and culture. So these are all key components to getting that function of a community to just like come back to life, to recognize all of these factors that can be components into what is causing the health disparities. And then what concepts should be, could or should be applied. I went ahead and I put in, of course, access to healthcare is important for everybody. Good quality healthcare, and how they can get it, because if they don't have a driver's license, they cannot get, healthcare. They need a picture ID. Some people need help just to guide them to go and know where to get a birth certificate or an ID, or, and get all of those little tiny things done. And then social justice. People need more than just safe housing. They need access to food. They need a positive and engaged communities. And then advocacy and awareness, advocating for vulnerable populations and to do our best to get them the support and services they need. And so that's pretty much it. These are my resources, and I just want to thank everybody and wish everybody good luck. I look forward to hopefully running into you guys someday in this field, and it's going to be amazing, and we're blessed. Thank you guys so much.